You're listening to The Greater Loop, a podcast from the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. In each episode, we bring to you leaders who connect Houston to the world, from business to diplomacy, innovation to impact. This is where global conversation begins. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston's The Greater Loop podcast. Today our guest is Kevin Pasha, Managing Director, Wealth Management and Private Client Advisor at JPMorgan. Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Marianne. Really excited to be here.
So tell us, Kevin, what does a Managing Director, Wealth Management at JPMorgan do in a day?
Well, if you really want the real answer, I think the only upgrade I got was better cup of coffee, frankly. But in all reality, our job is to lead teams on a daily basis to make sure that we serve our clients in a way that is commensurate with what they're looking for, be it banking, be it investments, or a combination thereof.
So, and Kevin, you talk to so many companies. You're one of our board members. You engage in the international community. How do you see Houston's energy-driven economy adapting to kind of global pushes and trends around the world?
So Houston is a fascinating city, right? I grew up here, right? Houston is home to me. I've lived overseas. I've lived in many parts of the United States, but somehow Houston is like a gravitational black hole for me, right? From a career-wise. And I always get sucked right back in. And not in a bad way, but I'm actually glad that I got back here again because, when I came in from California, around 2018, 2017, I came back to Houston, and I realized that Houston was changing, and post-COVID, it's really changed. As we all know, the amount of people that have moved here, for better or for worse, change their license plates. We know where you're from. At the same time, the growth of the industry along the way, and in many industries, right? You recall, Marianne, when Houston really was a unipolar city, maybe a bipolar in terms of industry city, right? But it was really oil and gas and obviously medical as well, given our medical center, but really oil and gas. And we've migrated from that. And we're now a very diversified city in terms of industry, of course, from multiracial perspective as well, but really diversified from an industry perspective. And that's where, firms like ours and others in the finance industry really are able to cater to our clients across the spectrum of industries that are now present in Houston.
And we've all long been a hub for investment and trade kind of globally. From your conversations with clients and business leaders in our community, where do you see the greatest opportunities that we have here?
So you're right. Houston's history as a port city, right, is center to that. We're the fourth largest city. We're coming up really fast behind Chicago, another great city as well. But our ability to be one of the major ports here in the United States has really, supercharged the growth here in Houston particularly. And so, one of the budding areas that you've probably seen and we've seen as we work closely with, for example, aerospace and AI area as well. There was a time when I remember growing up, we would see the space shuttle on top of the 747 as it would land, and it would take a circle around Houston. And during elementary, they would let us out. We would know the schedule, at least our teachers would, and we would go out to the playground and we would all stand and watch it loop over us. And those days are gone, right? I mean, we've kind of made it, almost non-consequential when somebody or a space shuttle used to go up into space, and then the space shuttle program went away. And I think with SpaceX and many other companies that are now bringing those back, along with, emphasis through NASA and Johnson Space Center, that's an area that's growing in the spaceport that you probably have heard about. And at the same time, areas like AI, right? We are seeing a lot of growth from companies that are coming here that are in the artificial space to Houston. Obviously, Austin and Dallas and San Antonio and other parts of the state are also very hot. But Houston is a benefactor of this new quote-unquote industry that we're finding ourselves in.
And how are Houston, maybe not Houston investors specifically, but how are the people that you're speaking with positioning themselves to respond to kind of global uncertainties, from interest rates to shifting supply chains, kind of global shifts within our market? Do you see any changes there with the investors you're speaking with?
Understandably, right? I mean, our job on a daily basis, kind of going back to your first question, right, is to help advise and aid clients on a multifaceted basis. And to speak to your question specifically, geopolitical events and global supply chains. I mean, we are the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston, but keeping that hat along with the hat that I have on my side with JPMorgan, it is quite interesting to see what clients are looking for. We have clients in the legacy industries that are looking to hedge potential geopolitical risk in the oil and gas sector. A situation like Russia and Ukraine, for example, was front and center back in 2022 and 2023 with the spike in the oil prices related to that. And then, of course, we have clients that are in other industries, for example, in retail and other areas where they're looking to see how they can protect themselves from potential tariffs and supply chain kinks in the system. And so, we always want to be apolitical, and our job is to kind of advise on the current situation and see how we can help them navigate it, and all at the same time keeping their businesses moving along the way that they want it to be.
And related to that, I'm sure you get asked all the time, how do we, maintain what we have and still keep pace with all the global mega trends that are going on?
So, look, we're going to continue growing. And I think part of it is that here in Houston specifically, again, I guess we'll talk about Houston, is we're a very vibrant city. And we're a city that has a very continuous growth level in terms of new folks coming in. Our birth rates are above average as well, from a national perspective. And that, I think, is the natural organic growth that we need for example, for cities like Houston that have aided in the fact that, we have young folks that want to go into the new industries. We have folks that have been in legacy industries that are looking at exciting ways of raising capital and doing something else that continues their businesses at the same time while also enjoying their life after many, many decades of service to a certain type of industry. So the vibrancy in Houston is unparalleled. Not to say the restaurant scene. I mean, I remember growing up and you could probably get a mean pizza here in town, but that was probably it. Maybe get some good barbecue. But now, I mean, you can get Indonesian food, Malaysian food, Nigerian food, Pakistani food. One of the best Pakistani restaurants in the country here. Who would have thought, right? And so, of course, Tex-Mex, that goes without saying. I'm sure I missed a lot, but they're all good. I mean, they're really, really good restaurants, right? And so, all of a sudden we're a foodie scene as well, which goes a long way from that perspective.
And being Houston's most diverse city, I know JPMorgan has access to lots of global insights, and you do too. How do you bring those home to your clients here in Houston, those insights?
Yeah, that's great. Look, Houston is the most diverse city in the United States, and I believe Harris County is probably one of the most diverse counties in the country. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. We're definitely up there for sure. So our firm, being the largest bank in the United States, has a dashboard to the global economy on an instantaneous basis, right? As I like to say it whenever I do talk about the economy. And my job is effectively to provide that, insight, that view of the dashboard, the view of the cockpit per se, to clients whenever we have events around town, be it with some of our business partners, be it with organizations like yourself, or any others here in town that feel like, hey, look, our stakeholders would benefit from a viewpoint of what you, Kevin, and your firm are seeing out the windshield, right? Are we seeing turbulence? I always like to joke about this, but it's relatively true. I mean, my job really is to fly the plane and hope that my clients are sitting in first class, and maybe in economy plus or wherever they may be. And I'll come on and say, hey, look, you're okay to roam around and go visit a couple of your friends up and down the aisles, maybe use the restroom. But also my role is to come on the intercom and say, look, we have turbulence and put your seatbelts back on, right? That doesn't mean the plane is falling out of the sky. That's just mean that we're going to run into some turbulence. And yes, we're going to try to navigate around the so-called pocket of turbulence, be it a storm, what have you, but we can't completely ensure that it'll be turbulence free. So, we'll get you to your destination. That's always our goal. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we provide that viewpoint of the dashboard through the cockpit per se to our clients. And I think that's the biggest thing in terms of the amount of data that we have on a daily basis.
I am never going to get on a plane again without thinking of that analogy. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, good.
So, Kevin, you've been around this industry and this city for a while. What has surprised you most about global events, be it trade tensions, oil price swings? What has surprised you most?
I think the engagement of our population, right? You have your events. I mean, through the World Affairs Council that I visit quite frequently, we have our events, and I go to multiple events through organizations here in town. And it's always, I'm always engendered by the fact that there is a receptivity in Houston to learn, to understand the topic, not to come to conclusions without really grasping what is going on. So that to me, I think, is the very heart of democracy, right? I mean, if you are willing to learn from the other side of the fence, you may not necessarily agree with them, but if you understand where they're coming from, I think that allows for a discourse. And you, in the end, may say, you know what, let's agree to disagree. And that's totally fine. That's what this country is
Mhm.
about, of very healthy disagreements. Heck, our country was founded on such a big disagreement. But in the end, I think that the way that Houstonians approach many geopolitical events, financial events, industry-based events, and are willing to learn and engage themselves in it always pleasantly surprises me, because invariably, if you're on your phone or you turn on the TV or you watch something on the web, you think that, hey, you know what? Everybody just jumps to a conclusion on a 30-second soundbite and that's it, and you kind of start, worrying about our society. But in the end, that's exactly what it is. It's a soundbite. But there's a lot of people that want to learn, and maybe this is why we're having this podcast today.
So, from a fun perspective, when you're not working with clients, you're not at a World Affairs Council event, what do you enjoy? Food, art, sports? What do you enjoy here in Houston?
Yeah, look, the food scene is great, right? And I think having the ability to go out and say, you know what, let's go have some really good Nigerian food today, right? Or let's go out and have some really good Indonesian food or Indian food, Tex-Mex, barbecue, right? Is fun. Look, I mean, historically, people have come together through food, and that's a great way to meet new people, invite folks along to come with you and have have a good discussion, roll up the sleeves, keep it informal. And I love doing that. And so definitely, and fortunately, for my own health sakes, now, I mean, I hope my doctor's not going to be watching this. Food is something that I do love. I'm also a car enthusiast. I love cars. I go to a lot of car shows. And I always, that to me is a art on wheels, as I like to call it, right? And it could be different for everybody. Someone sees a Picasso and someone sees a bunch of scratches. But the attempt there is to have a conversation with the owner of the vehicle, what they're doing, maybe go on drives with them. And so yeah, in Houston, unfortunately during the summertime it could be a little hot, but we are coming up to some hopefully good fall weather, and we'll probably go see those road trips again.
Last question. So, given all you see in finance, innovation, kind of global trends, if you had to describe Houston's future in one word, what would it be and why?
Uh, Everlasting, right? Again,
Mm.
the organic churn that we have here in Houston, be it from people that are moving into Houston, the greater Houston area, and the number of counties that we have, be it Waller, Fort Bend, Harris, Liberty, Montgomery counties, right? And there are many others, Brazoria and Galveston included, right? You see that the vibrancy in each of these counties individually contribute to the greater success of greater Houston. And I know for a fact that Houston is going to be front and center, generally when there's a discussion, be it on energy, be it on technology, be it on finance. And in a world where all these three or four things that I just mentioned are coalescing and colliding, right, through the technology and AI, we're going to need stable, secure, and reliable energy into the future to continue this technological trend. And what better place other than Houston that exactly knows it? Or be it expansion into space, right? Hopefully, we won't have a word that Houston, we have a problem. Say, Houston, we have success. That's what we want to hear in the future, right? If we end up landing on Mars or wherever in the future. So it's always going to be the everlasting success of Houston.
Everlasting. Great way to sum up the conversation. Kevin, thank you for joining us on the Greater Loop. We'll see y'all next time.
Thanks, Marianne. Loved it. Good to see you again. Bye now.